Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff tool review day today, and they seldom get much bigger than this. So this is the airbrush and compressor combined kit. I'm guessing aimed at new starters or people who've got confined space. It's from Gaahleri. Let's take a look. Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name's Jason. So from the off, let's start by saying this product has been sent to me from Gaahleri for the purposes of review, on the understanding that I can share my honest opinion of what I think of the product. Now, as someone who's been using airbrushes since the 1980s, I hopefully will be able to give you a fair review of this. Having said that, I haven't used a tabletop compressor before, so this is going to be really interesting for me. So this is just arriving into stock in the UK at the time I'm recording this, which is mid-November 2024. It's already in stock in the US, and the rest of the world will get stock around about now as well. So what you get is a big, heavy top opening box. Tells us that we've got an airbrush and compressor kit from the Ambition series, and it says changing the game with revolutionary airbrush, which is an interesting statement, and that's pretty much it. And then on the back we've got some, get it the right way around, we've got some information. We've got an air compressor, which is a Serenair GTS 06. High power with 7 pressure levels, meets all your spraying needs. Dual air outlets, connect 2 airbrushes simultaneously. Compact size, more space efficient work area. Ultra quiet, creating a comfortable spraying environment. And then the airbrush is a classic series CS36. Certainly not reviewed one of those before on the channel. A 0.38 millimeter nozzle and needle with 8 micro air channel nozzles. Ideal for water-based paint and replaceable paint cup, precision machined for easy cleaning. And then it gives us some spec information on the compressor as well. So let's have a look what we get when we open up the box. So if I take the lid off, there we go. So we've got fairly thick user manual, but it's probably in multiple languages. We've got our airbrush, paint cup separately, needle will already be loaded into the airbrush. We've got the compressor here, which you can see has been wrapped, so I've not opened it as yet. We've got our power adapter there. These, I think, yep, they're for mounting your airbrush on. They mount onto there. And then underneath this we will have our hose. So let's get all the components out and take a closer look. So the instruction manual is actually just 4 pages long. The first language in the manual is English. Tells you how to assemble the compressor, put in your power connector in, connecting air lines, what all the buttons and indicators mean. Then they carry on with that. Then they talk about how to use the airbrush, how the airbrush works. They always do this with all of their airbrushes, and I do love it. The little thing here that's a guide for, you know, too thick, dilute the paint. That's perfect. That's too thin, put more paint in. How to clean. Yeah, phenomenal. How to strip the airbrush. and how to clean the nozzle cap, and then how to reassemble. So yeah, all very, very nice. Simply explained. Yeah, no problems. For me, someone who's used an airbrush for many years, that all makes sense. For a novice, it's difficult for me to put my head back in the novice space, but I think they're as good as anybody's, maybe even slightly better than some when it comes to instructions. Right, let's put that to one side. Components we've got, so we've got one airline. So if you do want to connect two airbrushes, you are going to have to get an additional airline. They don't have quick releases on, so but it is braided, and it looks like a reasonably good quality airline. There we go, and yeah, you've got a fair amount of length there. So yeah, that's plenty, especially if you've got it mounted on your desk. Then we've got a power adapter. This is obviously the UK one. Yours will look different if you're in a different country, obviously. All comes with cable ties, so you can put it back in the box if you want and tie it all up. Let's just have a look at the length of that. Not too bad. I think it'll just about reach for me. We will see in a minute. And then we've got the compressor itself, which has got some suction feet. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So let's open that up. Let's get the protective wrap off. What I'm interested in, there's a number of things I'm interested in, from how noisy it is and how much vibration it makes, but also if this is going to be near you when you're painting, how easy is it to clean, you know? So we've got plastic shell. Yeah, top and bottom is plastic. I mean, it looks very presentable, doesn't it? You've got this sort of light steel colour on the top, and then this darker metallic colour on the bottom. You've got the buttons there, all clearly marked out. Yeah, okay, so we'll assemble that in a sec. And then we've got our airbrush. So airbrush comes with a protective cap. You've got a straight air cap. Quite a light brush, actually. It does have a stop on it, and let's just get that engaged. So if we take that back, there we go, that's full back. Okay, and then if we take the body piece off at the back, yeah, we've got a trigger adjuster at the back there, so you can tighten and loosen the spring. I like mine a bit slack. There we go. So that's my airbrush setup. It's got the same sort of feel as a number of their airbrushes. Nicely chrome plated, all looks good. The round standard trigger, and then we've got the paint cup in there. All of Gaahlerie's paint cups are all the standard size, so they're interchangeable, so you could put a bigger one or a smaller one on if you've got multiples. And what we've got is the standard polished cup, not the mirror polished one. So that, I mean, that will still clean really easily, but yeah. So gravity fed airbrush, very nice. We just want to have a look at the mechanism and see how easy stripping down will be. So I'm just going to take the nozzle cap off, take the needle out. I just want to see if it's a one piece or two piece. Right, it's 2-piece. So yeah, we've got that goes in separately. Sometimes they're attached, sometimes they're not. Just wanted to understand that. Right, okay. So let's put our plunger back in. I can never see. There we go, that's in. And if I get some tweezers, and then we can bob that back in. Yeah, that's located okay. So that all strips down nice and easily, as you can see. Yeah, no issues with that. Okay, nice little airbrush actually. 3.8, that's a good in the middle position, so you'll be able to do some fine detail with it, and you'll be able to do some wider spray with it. Right, okay, so let's get this assembled. I'll put that back on for a sec. So these go on there, and I suppose, yeah, they're slightly angled, so your airbrush sits in there like that, so it stops at that point there, so it's just your nozzle going in. But that's a nice tidy way of storing your airbrush. Just want to try something though. This is my Mobius 2. Yeah, not so well because of the device there. But you can see that you can actually store 2 airbrushes with their paint cups on in there quite comfortably. Looks very nice, doesn't it? So, and you've got nothing, you know, airline and stuff isn't going to get in the way. So yeah, if you do progress to 2 airbrushes, then it won't be a problem whatsoever. So I like that. That's a nice little feature. Then on the edge of the box here, we've got our connection point for the airline. So let's do that. Okay, and then if you want to put a second airline on, you can do that there. But they've got a nice, good quality air cap with a seal, so that's all good. Just like your airbrush, everything finger tight, and that'll do the job nicely. And then this is where we plug in. So let's do that. Oh, that's nice and firm. It doesn't wiggle around or anything. There's no, in fact, that doesn't really move at all. So that's good. Everything feels well made and well constructed, so that's good. Right, so let's put our airbrush on. So there's no quick release for this, so if you want a quick release you'll have to get it separately. And clearly there is no moisture trap. Now I don't know I don't know how bad moisture will be from one of these, but obviously if you've got air and you've got temperature, you're going to get moisture. So I would recommend getting an online moisture trap, and Gaahleri, that's probably something you should consider as an accessory. Is a moisture trap for those people. What you don't want, because they say it's particularly good for acrylics, is you don't want water coming up your airline and getting into your paint, really. So a little inline moisture trap. You can buy them online. They go between your airline and your airbrush. That would be ideal, I think. Right, let's switch this on and see how it performs. So my power is on. On the plug there is a little green light that comes on that shows you that you've got power, and on our box here we can see we've got a little red light showing us that we're at a rated pressure of 21, which is pretty much slap bang in the middle. So we have a number of buttons on here. The slightly pinkish metallic one is the on-off button. This one increases the pressure. This one decreases the pressure incrementally. This one takes you straight to maximum. This one takes you straight to minimum. So actually you've got some really good fingertip control. You're not having to twist a gauge or anything like that. So first of all, I'm interested to know how noisy it is. Does it get noisy and then quieten down, or does it just start off at the same thing, or you know? So they do say this is ultra quiet, but what does that mean in the world of compressors? Let's find out. Blimey. So it's only actually making a noise when you've got the airbrush using air. So that's really interesting. So as I press this, you'll hear it come on. Let's see at maximum pressure, what does that sound like? So you've got a more intense hum. Let's go to minimum. That's not an intrusive sound. That is not an intrusive sound. And yeah, I like the fact that it's on just when you're airbrushing. So yeah, that's interesting. Let's test now, incrementally increasing the pressure and what that does to the noise. So the biggest difference change in noise is between 19 and 21. Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, next thing I want to see is how much vibration are we putting through the desk? Because if you've got this on your desk and you're painting on your desk, is that going to be shaking your work? Let's find out. Right, what I've done is I've set a couple of things up that I think might roll around. The aircraft is just sat on the desk. Just interested to see whether the vibration from the compressor is going to disturb this at all, because in my mind, if I'm painting and the compressor is on the same desk, is it going to move the work so I can't work as accurately? Let's see. I'm set at 27 psi, which is the highest. Let's have a look. Well, the answer is clearly no, it's not going to disturb anything. That's awesome. Okay, I have some black acrylic paint in the airbrush. We've got the compressor set at 21 psi, it's middle range, and we're just going to see how this puts down some paint on my little mule here. So first of all, I'm just going to try and put some air through it without any paint. Okay, and now we can put some paint down. Let's see what happens. Well, that's working really nicely. Let's see what happens if we drop the pressure. I'm going to take it down to its lowest, just out of interest. can do some really nice detail work at that lower pressure, so that's really good. Now if we take it up to maximum pressure now, which was just easy, one press of a button, let's see what the larger coverage is like. Well, that is really quite positive, isn't it? This is a nice airbrush. It's putting down paint lovely. The compressor is working well with it. So yeah, I am quite impressed with that. So you want it on mid-range pressure for everyday spray painting, whack it up to higher pressures for doing larger coverage when you're pulling full back on that needle, and drop it right down when you're doing a little bit of detail painting. But yeah, that has put my paint down lovely. I can force dry. Yeah, very nice, and we're ready for a second coat. This is ideal for people who've got limited space, concerned about noise, particularly if they're working inside the house. They don't want to be waking everyone up early in the morning. This is actually going to be quite handy for me because I tend to manage my painting times around when people are not in bed, and that can be a bit limiting. So this is going to be really handy for me. So yeah, I'm going to carry on painting my mule. So I've used up all this paint. I think this is typical of Gaahleri. They have really thought about this product, and you can tell they've put a lot of thought into what people need from a small tabletop compressor. And they've also given you the ability to grow as well. So we've got something that's nice and quiet, important. It's compact, important. On the bottom, we've got rubber feet, which are noise and vibration dampening. So great. They've made it very easy to use. You just press the button, so you don't have a dial to twist like you traditionally do on a compressor. So, you know, they've really thought about that. If you've never used an air compressor before, this is the simplest way of manipulating pressure I've ever seen, and the fact that you've got quick minimum and maximum pressure is really good. So when you're cleaning your airbrush, you can just flick it to maximum and blast your air through once you've put your water through and it's cleaned and you just want to dry it out. You know, or if you want to quickly dry off the paint you've just done, you can flick it up to high pressure quickly, and then you can flick it back down to low pressure to carry on doing your detail work. They've really thought about it. It's very nice. We've got two airbrush holders that work. I mean, the air hose is on this, and you can see it's sitting in there very nicely. Yes, you're a bit limited if you've got a Mac on the bottom, as we saw, but most airbrushes would fit in here. The fact that they've given you the ability to have a second airline, I really like that. They're giving you the ability to grow, like I've just said. So if you bought this for someone so that they could start their airbrushing journey, once they decided they needed a second airbrush so they could have two different needles on the go in one session, you're there. Fantastic. So all in all, the compressor, really nice. I think it's great. The airbrush itself, well, even though you would say this is aimed at entry level, I guess it doesn't particularly say that. It's just my assumption, to be honest. The reality is they've not given you a basic airbrush. You know, I could spend a lot more on an airbrush and not get the features that I've got on this one. So, you know, I've got a stop. So sorry, I've forgotten it was still switched on. Let's switch it off. There you go. That's how quickly you clear the air out of it as well, really quickly. But I've got a stop on this, so I can control, if I'm doing fine paint work, I can control how far back I'm going to go. So that's really nice. You don't get that on a lot of airbrushes, but you've got this, and you can also adjust the tightness of your trigger. And of course, as with a number of Gaahleri airbrushes, you could probably swap out that if you wanted. You could buy additional air nozzles for it, no doubt. I haven't tried. Let's do that while we talk about it. But is it a standard size? I don't know. Let's get this one here. So I've just checked, and the nozzle thread is compatible with the Gaahleri 39, which means you can buy additional air caps for it, so you can take your journey wherever you want to go. I think this is a great idea. Lots of people that I talk to, when they're getting into airbrushing, they have all sorts of reservations from will I be able to master it, to noise, to space, where am I going to put it, will everyone hear it, all of that sort of stuff. This answers a lot of those questions, I think. So the price point for this is going to be around about $90. And there you go. The airbrush is great, the compressor is great. It's just another well thought through quality product from Gaahleri. So yeah, the only things I would say constructively about it is airline probably needs some form of moisture trap. I will talk to them and confirm whether they think that's a good idea or whether it's not required. So after I filmed the video, I did ask Gaahleri about a moisture trap, and this is what they said. They said it's not really necessary. However, in countries with high humidity, it may offer an advantage. So I think in the UK, you might want to consider a little inline moisture trap at the end of your airline where it meets your airbrush. And I also think that the power cable length could possibly be a little longer. It's a stretch for me here, but to be honest, once I've got this on the floor where I'm more likely to have it, it's not so bad. But yeah, and you might also want to buy yourself a quick connect for it as well. But otherwise, I think this ticks all the boxes. Well done, Gaahleri. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's free, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit my PayPal link in the text below. Every pound goes straight into the channel to keep the cameras rolling and to do more fun stuff for you to watch.